Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to Lily Leaf 11. Today, I'm super excited. I've got my galactic channel on today. Jess. Hey, Jess.
Hi.
I'm so excited because I've been wanting to get you on. I just love you so much. You have just been so helpful to me with my just bringing in my cosmic field of energy, just so I know that I'm not crazy. I have Jess. So, Jess is this amazing channel. So, have you ever wondered, why are you here? What is the purpose of this all? Why Earth and why now? And why has Earth always felt a bit strange? Yes, a lot of us can relate to that and the feeling of, I want to go home type feeling. So Jess is a channel healer and galactic Akashic record reader who helps people explore the deeper questions of life. And she's definitely helped me whenever I have a question that I can't ask anyone else, can't ask my family or friends, then Jess is my go-to. So I appreciate you so much, Jess.
Thank you. That's such a beautiful introduction.
So by connecting with the soul, the guides, and the wisdom of the Akashic records, so you bring in clarity on who we are, why we're here, and what our souls are here to experience. So I love that. And you still look so young, and I don't know how this all comes out of you, all of this information. Ob- Obviously, you've done this before in other lifetimes. But I remember I found you from Debbie Solaris, she is a she reads galactic records, and she always amazed me. I saw her on Gaia TV, and I was like, oh, it's fascinating, so interesting. I thought, oh, just check out her website, and then I found you, Jess. So I was super happy to get you, and then and then it's been a while now. We've done quite a few sessions, and I haven't looked back. So how did you end up finding Debbie?
Yeah, I was also on Gaia.
Mm.
I've always been intuitive and I've always had connections to like past lives and things like that ever since I was a little kid. And I feel for well, from since 2014, I was really started to train it more and more and be able to hone it more and more. And then I was doing mostly earth past lives and diving into that and doing healing in that space and bringing through wisdom from that for myself and for others as a healer and doing healing work in that regard. But I kept having a lot of in between lifetime memories come through, or lifetimes that I couldn't place on Earth, and lifetimes of in light form, and then lifetimes on other planets. So I was starting to doing past life healing from that space, or memories were coming through, and same when I was working with clients. So I started to get more and more curious with starseeds, and I had a Gaia membership, and then, you watch different videos, and then I found what Debbie does, and I really loved what she had to share because she's a galactic historian. And so I learned a lot from her, and I went to her website, and she was still doing readings at the time. This was over 3 years ago. She was still doing readings at the time, but her wait list was like a year and a half long. So I was like, well, I'm already intuitive, and I'm already doing all the memories already coming through. So I studied Akashic record readings and did more study with that. And then she stopped accepting new clients and then started doing training. So I trained with her in 2023.
Wow, amazing. Yeah, so I was trying to think of the word. Debbie Solaris is a galactic historian. Yeah,
Yeah.
amazing. Oh, no, that's really cool because so your star seed, sometimes it gets confusing on what a star seed is compared to an earth soul or just, some people would just use the word soul, but I don't know, you hear a lot of different people talk about how some people just have more lifetimes as galactic souls. Like I remember somebody the other day was just saying she believes she's had 5 lifetimes on Earth, compared to 4,000 lifetimes as an Arcturian, so there's yeah, so it's almost like, you might have been to Earth a few times, but it's just still not quite resonating, or you're still not quite used to the frequencies because you've been, maybe, I don't know if you use the word incarnating. It's hard these days with the right word, but you may have been incarnating as, a galactic being for so long, or from a higher realm, or and so you come into the Earth frequency, and it just still feels strange. It doesn't feel like home. It just feels like you don't belong, or you're weird, or it's just like, why are people mean to each other? Why are people suffering? Why are there wars? It doesn't make sense. So it's making more and more sense now that if we've come from these other realms, planets, frequencies, wherever we've come from, it makes more sense now. So I'm super excited to talk to you, because I think we were going to open the Akashic Records for everybody today. I'm not sure if you wanted to open the Earth records or because quite often you open the Earth records for us
Yeah.
as well. So
Yeah.
that's
I was thinking it'd be good to open the records for all of Earth.
mm,
So you can open the records for people, pets, places, and Earth. So when in my monthly events and things like that, I open up for all of Earth, because then information comes through for all of us. So those who haven't heard about the Akashic Records before, they are the energetic library of everything that's ever happened. So I feel if you do a lot of spiritual work yourself, and if you go through those realms, it's really close to source energy. So it's like there's source energy, and it's just slightly adjacent, and it's a field of information that we can access, and then lots of information guidance comes through for all of us. So thought it'd be cool to do the podcast in from that space, and then we can all receive the wisdom and guidance that comes through for us.
yeah, that sounds amazing. And you said you also have kind of put together all of my readings or incarnations, things like that. So we could tune into that a little bit too. That would be fun for everybody.
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's quite nice actually to put it all together, because sometimes when you are doing readings and things, you're at a level of consciousness which is quite different to the human mind. So when you come back into your human day, you kind of start to forget what you've even talked about. So, I mean, you're really good. You send the recordings when we do our one-on-one sessions, but yeah, it's amazing how you do. Like it's like you start to have to become a human again, and you can't hold too much information at the same time. So yeah, no, so that'll be good. We'll get to that. But maybe if we open the Earth records now.
Mhm,
Cool.
mhm.
All right.
Yeah.
So if everybody, I don't know, can you do it while you're driving? If anyone's driving, should they be doing this, or should they stop and wait?
That's a really good question. So I'll be opening the records. The process of doing that is I have a pathway. I use Linda House pathway prayer process to open the records. If you're driving, I guess use your own discretion. If you're like, if you're someone who can tune into other dimensions quite easily, and you're empathic to that experience, then maybe pause and wait until you're in a safer space.
Maybe just don't
Uh,
close your eyes
yeah.
if you're driving. If you're not driving, you can close your eyes, but
Yeah. So what I do is I start with a prayer, and then I connect into the records. And when I'm in the records, I normally say the records are now open. So that's the process. So if you want to sort of close your eyes, you're welcome to. First things first, I'll just connect into source energy, and bring through that beautiful frequency of source, that beautiful unconditional love, just to bless the space that we're in. And if you'd like to receive any of the frequencies personally, you're welcome to say yes, and the frequencies will come through for you. If you don't want to, that's all good. It's your free will. So just bring through some beautiful loving energy to bless every single person listening. Let's bring in some beautiful source energy, like a beautiful waterfall, just to rinse and clear your energy field and release any energy that's not yours and bring you back to your beautiful space of homeostasis, of peace and tranquility, of clarity, insight, and connection with your soul. And so we do acknowledge the forces of light, asking for guidance, direction, and courage to know the truth as it is revealed for our highest good and the highest good of everyone connected to us. Help me to know the earth in the light of the Akashic Records, to see the earth through the eyes of the Lords of the Records, and enable me to share the wisdom and compassion that the Masters, teachers, and loved ones of the earth have for her. All right, and the records are now open. And the beauty of opening Earth's records and connecting into this field is that we can just bring through just such beautiful, wonderful information, wisdom. If there's any healing, anything like that that wants to come through. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. So your work, it reconnects people with their soul's wisdom.
Mhm.
So just looking at a deeper purpose. Do you like? Can you sense a deeper purpose for the whole collective, um, or the individual? Like, obviously, they're different, aren't they?
Well, we're all pieces of the bigger puzzle.
Mm.
We're all threads of the bigger tapestry. Um, Even though sometimes we can feel like we're having a very individualized experience, we're all connected and woven together into that bigger tapestry of life. And yeah, I can see each person's, like, why they came to Earth, why here, why now, what's the purpose of it all, and then I can see the bigger picture of where we're all heading collectively. Um, So we're all kind of all a part of that bigger tapestry, moving in a very similar direction, but how it plays out for each one of us is different. How we each contributes different. What we're each learning's different, and everyone has such a unique soul frequency. So that's unique in itself. So yeah, and yeah, the where we're at in Earth right now is a really cool time. um, People are becoming more and more intuitive and more aware than we've ever been before. Many of us were kind of born and raised with, this is the first time you've been here, and you start from start from zero when you're born. But then there's all the sayings of you're an old soul, and or you have these natural gifts and abilities and affinities, or you have this deeper drive that's coming through. And what's really special about now is we can get much more clarity on that than we've ever been able to do for a long time as humans. So when we come to Earth, we go through this phase. I call it amnesia. We go through this huge amnesia. And then we're here on Earth, and it's like, it's just such a unique experience. And we were talking earlier before about how it's unique for starseeds because Earth is a pretty dense place. There's And dense by dense, I mean the dimension that we're in and the full range of experiences we can have is quite a like a 3D denser reality. So we can have the full gauntlet of experience from war to love and everything in between. And so, and the human body's quite dense. So for a lot of people who haven't spent a lot of lifetimes here, or maybe it's your first lifetime here, like for you, uh, it's kind of weird. It's
Yeah.
weird and it's different, and you've got these like trace memories of knowing something different, like deeper down. You're like, I like, why is, yeah, as you said, like, why is there war? Like, why is there conflict? And you read the news and you're like, dang, we're still doing this. Like, we haven't, like, come on, guys, like, we haven't moved beyond this. And you meet different people, and some people are just like, yeah, this is just the way it is.
Mm.
And you're like, no, but I have that deeper feeling underneath it that's it's so different. Like that you have this deep, different memory, or this calling to move towards something different. And that's very common across a lot of star seeds, is that experience. And that what's coming through is your soul memories and your soul essence of knowing like thousands, millions of years of other more expansive, more loving, higher frequency, high dimensionality lifetimes and experiences and ways of being.
Yeah, I think that makes sense of why sometimes we do struggle here or we have challenges here if we haven't been here often. So many star seeds have challenges maybe with relationships or with money. They don't know how to manifest money because they might have been like previous lifetimes. Their money might have been completely different or didn't exist. They didn't need it, or relationships, quite different in a lot of other realms, planets, quite different. So, yeah, you can see why sometimes we do find it a bit more challenging, but then it is really nice. I'm finding now learning how to integrate. Still be my higher self, but integrate it into this reality. It's like, you kind of supercharge your life. You can be on your highest timeline. You can activate that highest timeline, still create what you want, and be feeling good and still be in the earth reality. I've realized you can have it all now. Before I think I was splitting myself. Where I would just play in higher realms, and then I would come back down to the dense earth reality. But it doesn't have to be like that anymore. You can definitely bring more of your true self in than ever before. So, it's, yeah, just I think, maybe I'm finally starting to get used to this reality, I'm not sure, and then it will shift again, I don't know.
Yeah, that's so true. Because when we're born here, we're born into our families and we're born into humanity, and we've got how many thousands of human generations before us, and all of that ancestral memory and all of those ancestral beliefs. So you end up being a real mix of your family story, the society and culture you're born into story, as well as being this galactic being. So blending those together and integrating it is it's work. It's work. That's why a lot of star seeds are people who they're the first people in their family who's doing the inner work. They're like, nah, this stops with me. Like, you're like, where did this come from? Or what are these memories? Or what are these blocks that show up? And, these are ancient. They're hundreds of years old or thousands of years old. And so a lot of the star seeds are clearing that out. And when you do clear that out and clear out all the old ways of being, it allows space for your truer frequency to come through, and for you to sort of rewrite how you do things.
Yeah, it feels really empowering now that, we can release all of this old stuff. It's like we couldn't really see. Well, I mean, I couldn't. I couldn't see a lot of the loops and a lot of the patterns and the old belief systems that I was stuck in. I thought it was like normal, like you said, but it's not normal. But we can step out of it. We can step out of it into something new and fresh and exciting. And yeah, we don't need to be stuck in that survival consciousness anymore. There's so many things I have been doing lately that have been working, and before they might not have worked. I feel like now is the time we're ready to release so much of it. I might have noticed a pattern or a loop that I was in, but I still kept repeating it, whereas now it's like I've actually fully stepped out of it and something completely new is coming in. And I can see back from, like my parents, my grandparents, I could see that same loop that they were stuck in. And now it's like, no, I don't need to play that game anymore. So it's kind of, yeah, it's like I said, it's empowering and it's exciting now that that shift is happening. And for anybody that is stuck in old patterns, you can get out of it. You don't need to keep playing the game. And as soon as you do really start to recognize that, that's when the pattern and the loop does start to shift and start to fall apart because you've recognized it. So, yeah, no, it's an exciting time, definitely. Could you explain, I've actually I copied you with the pyramid. So you explain, like, it's kind of like the highest point of consciousness. So the highest point of awareness is source, and then you use like a pyramid to show. Do you show like the duality and the polarity of it getting? The more further out down you go, the more dualistic it becomes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think a pyramid's a really great shape to describe it. I use it to describe like the different dimensions and densities.
Right.
So when people talk about like the higher frequency or different dimension or higher realities, or as you said, like the higher timelines, you know, another way of looking at it is like the frequency of like the emotions we can experience. You've got like the denser, heavier ones, and then you've got the lighter, more loving oneness ones. So source energy, what's another word of calling it? The energy of all that is prana, chi, life force, that energy. That is like absolute unity and oneness and bliss. That's where all of our souls are from. We're all sparks of that. Um, some souls have come straight from there to earth. Others have been in lifetimes for um, thousands of years and been all over, and then they haven't been back to source since. So then there's like at the top of the pyramid is source, and at the bottom of the pyramid is pretty much earth. There might be a couple other places out there about the same frequency as earth. And then there's everything in between. And so earth is, yeah, as I said, like third dimension, third density. We're shifting. We're kind of getting into fourth. There's some places here on earth that are in fifth density. Um, but what it means is you have such a wide range of duality and polarity, and you have a full range of experiences that we can have. Like, you just need to think about all the different people on earth and all the different experiences they're having, or you think about all the different emotions you can feel, and also all the different emotions you can feel at once. There's a huge range. That range is really, really wide. So it can be really loving all the way down to really, really heavy. So as you move up through the dimensions, it gets narrower. And what it does, it's moving towards that unity oneness feeling. So as you move up through the dimensions, the heavier experiences drop off, and the separation starts disappearing, and then you start becoming into more of that oneness experience. So um, in the fourth density, there's still a bit of drama and still ego, and there still is war. But then when you get into the fifth density or dimension, that's when the ego drops away. There's no longer war. There's no longer violence, and people are into the next space of collaboration, working together, being altruistic, being service to others in a whole new way. That's when you think of like Narnia, or in your heart of hearts, when you think about like paradise, and your heart yearns for everyone just getting along and people just contributing and everyone working together beautifully. That is that density. And then there's a ton more above that where it gets even more expansive, so much more is possible. And then there's a point where you're even beyond body. That's when different galactic civilizations are beyond having bodies, and they're more of the light beings. Here in the Milky Way galaxy, we're from like the third density up to about the 12th is what I've witnessed. And then the sister galaxy, Andromeda galaxy, where you're from and where I'm from, goes from 12 density up to 24. And then I know there's so much more to explore for beyond there, but yeah, then it starts going into being less being individual souls, and everyone kind of works more in that collective energy. So everyone's kind of that, not kind of like a hive mind in a negative way, but everyone has this, like, your group of beings, kind of all one soul, and you're all in that oneness together, experiencing life. Yeah. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. Definitely. Yeah. I love that. Yeah, so many people are in survival mode at the moment. And so when you're reading the Akashic records for a client, and they've been struggling, what would you do to help them kind of reconnect with their soul's wisdom? So you connect to the Akashic records, and then do their guides tell you, or do the records tell you which way to go, or what would help them?
Yeah, so when I work with someone, I see them, their human self. I see their aura. I see their energy field. I see all their chakras and meridians. And then I see all their ancestors. And then we're connected with source, their soul, and their Akashic guides. So it's like a picture, very holographic. So it depends on what's required in the moment. When someone's coming forward and like, I'm just kind of struggling in this area, what's going on? We sit and we're connecting, and I can see sometimes it's ancestral, like earthly ancestral. So I can go back through the ancestors and see who it's from. And sometimes that ancestor might come forward and be like, yeah, this is what was happening. This is what's going on. This is like what's been passed down in the family. And it's an ancestral human thing to be released and healed. And then I'm in communication with, at the same time, with their guides, their soul and source. And we're like, I don't know, yeah, a lot's happening. And just to see why is it there? Like, what block is there? So, let's say what's a good one. I know you talked about money before. That one is a huge one for humans. We've got a really ancient history with it. We've all had lots of experiences with it, and people have done and still do some pretty crazy things for money, to get money. So it's such that it's an amplifier, right? So it can bring out so much in humans. So we've all got this really complicated relationship with it, a lot of us. So if you go back far and you go back and you're like, oh, okay. Um, I'll just give it a minute. I don't know if that's coming through. My neighbors are choosing to vacuum right now, my
Oh,
landlords.
we can't hear it. Don't worry.
Okay,
We
good.
can't hear it.
They never make any noise. And today, they're
Don't
using
worry.
a blender. Anyways.
It's probably the universe showing us something. Well, what I was kind of saying when you were talking about all of the guides and everything, that's what I see, and it's like there can be so many different things coming through. There can be sounds from here, or guides from here, or this from that. But you just tune into what you think is right for that client or that person. So yeah, it's amazing, because I always wondered what you were seeing. That's kind of what I see, a bit of
Mm.
a bit of
Yeah.
everything, and whatever's most beneficial for that client at the time. Yeah, that's what drops in. That's more the highlighted, is it the ancestors? Is it the other guides? Is it source? Is it Akashic Records? Yeah. So it's like they all blend together because they are one, but yeah, but then they are separate as well. So,
Yeah. Yep.
yeah.
Definitely. So it's all working together. It's all multidimensional and holographic. So yeah, I see through all the dimensions and spaces, and I just move through all those different places and spaces. And then it's ultimately their soul is bringing it forward. Like they come forward and say, "This is what I want to work through." And it's their soul that's really guiding, like, this is what we want to clear. And then in the process, yeah, there's different players that come forward depending on if it's a soul level thing that they're wanting to clear past life, if it's like ancestral this lifetime. Depends where it's sitting in your being. But yeah. So one thing, yeah, as I was saying with the ancestors, if it's a money one, maybe 500 years ago, your ancestors were living peacefully in this beautiful community. And then, like, the neighboring village came through and raided and, like, came and stole everything and burnt the place to the ground. I'm pretty sure, if as you're listening to this, how does this show up in your body? If you get like some prickles on the back of your neck or you can resonate to it, you're like, oh, okay, that's happened with the ant. That's happened. So then, of course, they're like, oh, then they formed opinions about abundance around that. Oh, it's not safe to have it, or if things are too peaceful, then we're going to get, things will come crashing down, or, people, if people get jealous or if they get envious, then it brings out the worst in them. We're going to lose everything. So there's all of these things that are sitting in the background. So that's stuff that can be tripping you up. So in this lifetime, like, dang it, I'm doing everything. Like, why isn't the money not coming? Why isn't this working? And then there's like something from 500 years ago, but it sticks because it was a survival thing that, you know, kept your ancestors alive.
Yeah, it's amazing that it can affect you that much, something, from so long ago. And it's not just the earth ancestors, is it, as well? It's the other the other ancestors from other realms, other planets. Like, wow, we're quite complex when you think about it.
Yeah, we are. Yeah. Yeah.
We're pretty special. But then the thing is, as well, you don't want to overthink it, because then that just gets overwhelming, and you start to think there's something wrong with you as well. But yeah, we are the actors in this play, and it feels like it's time to become the script writers, start really writing the next scenes in our movie, the next part in our play. So do you feel like when you're talking to the guides now or opening the Akashic Records, there's kind of a leveling up now for humanity of just a higher evolution now, like as everybody starts to awaken, I'm sure their dreams and their goals have shifted a bit. um and yeah, and now a lot of star seeds are awakening to their past lives. Do you feel like there is a big shift happening right now?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we can just look back in the last 100 years of like how we do life differently now. And then I think it's rapidly shifting big time. One thing I'm seeing a lot with clients is as you do the work and you heal all the heavy stuff, and you heal all of those old loops that you're talking about and everything that you've ever inherited. When you start clearing all of that, it allows more space for your soul essence to come through. So you don't have these old operating programs that are ancient. It allows space for new of what you're wanting to create. So where our awareness, I feel like the veil between um, here on Earth and all the other dimensions is really thin. So people are getting a lot more intuitive, and people are approaching life differently and thinking about life differently. So yeah, I know a lot of like spiritual people have been talking about like the bigger shift and how everything's shifting and changing, and I see that 100% with everyone I'm working with. And yeah, everyone can just look back in your own life about where you were 20 years ago versus where you are now. Um, how you approached life, how you approached people, like it's evolved since then. Things that it's not as narrow as it used to be, or the societal status quo or is shifted to um yeah, the words aren't coming to me, but it's like that more expansive way of being, more expanded way of being.
Yeah. Nice. So life, yeah, you were talking the other day about life before now. Um, yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, before like, before you incarnate and after. Um, actually that life before now, a lot of that has been coming up for me. I've been seeing actually seeing my soul, like the just sorting things out before I came in. You know, it almost looks like that kind of holographic. Um, I don't know what do you even call those things. The holographic. It's like you know, when you see on a sci-fi movie, or it's probably just normal now, isn't it? Where people are like beep, 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 putting in things on this holographic screen that's just hanging in the air. I saw myself doing all of this. Yeah, so I'm just planning to come to Earth and I'm excited about it. And so, do you see that quite a bit? Obviously, with you doing clients, you see the life before they come in, or just before they come in, and yeah,
Yeah, we can absolutely go back to that. We can go to that point in time, and that's sort
yeah,
of like the answers a question of why did I come here? So we go back to that point, like why did you come here? So a lot of star seeds, I find that they're either volunteered, or they're invited to come. Um, what's really kick-started the bigger shift of everything is I know Dolores Cannon talks about this in her book, The Three Waves of Volunteers in the New Earth. And it's what I've been seeing as well with in the records is when the atomic bombs were dropped in the Second World War, it ricocheted out through the universe and disrupted everyone else. So it wasn't just contained on Earth. And there's a law of like non-interference. Like people are like, well, why haven't they landed on the lawns? Like why aren't all the other beings and our neighbors coming right now? There's a law of non-interference. So um there were Earth. Everyone was kind of just letting Earth do its thing, but then when it got to a point of impacting the neighbors and impacting everyone else and shifting the atoms of our reality, then everyone was like all eyes on Earth because we didn't really like they didn't really know what they were doing back then. Now we're all kind of like, oh, that's a terrible idea. Everyone kind of intuitively is like, oh, that's awful. I mean, yes, for the loss of life and then the bigger scale of things. And so, anyways, when that happened, it was like, all right, all eyes on Earth. What do we do about this? And it's like, what do we do? So Earth has kind of been in this quarantine bubble. And they said, well, we can't influence from the outside. What if we influence it from the inside? Like, who wants to be born on Earth? So there's a bunch of volunteers. People put their hand up. Others were asked because they've all had different skills and abilities and experiences that can help Earth shift into a different space. So Mother Earth her soul is all for it. And that's why we're going through this huge quantum leap. And this huge jump and growth is we're now shifting into a different way of being because we couldn't continue on that path that was happening. We would cease to be. So that's where like there's sort of that fork in the road and we're going down a different path. I know it doesn't, when you look at the news, it doesn't quite seem like it's fully there yet because there still is war happening. Like we still haven't moved fully into a new way of being. I mean, they do say like, what's a better way of saying it? It is here, it is now, and it is available to us, but we're still also healing through all the heavy stuff. So as individuals and collectively.
hmm.
Yeah. And so, um, with all of that, we do go back to like, why did you incarnate on Earth? And that's when we can go back to see, were you invited? Did you volunteer? And because like a lot of starseeds, as I was saying earlier, have got that inner calling of like something. I'm here to do something. Like I know, and either they already are, and it's just they're not super consciously aware of it, or they're like about to step into it, or they're stepping into it, and they've got that calling to be in a completely different way of showing up on Earth. And so we go back to that point in time of, okay, they're like, yeah, where were you before? What were you doing? What was all the skills and abilities that you're gaining? And then, okay, just before you came in, all right, this is where Earth was needed. This was what was needed on Earth. Cool, you chose to come in this decade because you knew Earth would be at a certain frequency for your soul to be received beautifully then. And then, Okay. And then we look at, all right, cool. So you're going to be, okay, you look down at your family, and everyone's chose their family for different reasons. There's the ones I dub the brave souls who look down and go, oh, that family's super dysfunctional.
Mm.
I'm full of light and love. Yeah, send me in. I got this. Um, and I call them the brave souls because it's a big task to do that, because from the outside looking in, you're this being of energy and love, and like you're connected to everything, and you're in this place of bliss, and you see this darkness and you're like, oh, look at all the love that they need. I can just shine my light. It'll be great. And then you underestimate what it feels like to be a little human on earth and a kid in a family that is a very different frequency to your own and are going through a lot of stuff. So we can sort of see like why you chose your family. Other people chose their family for completely different reasons. They're like, yep, hang on, I'm not here to clean up as much of the genetic stuff. I'm here to be showing up in a different way. So they'll choose different places on earth for whatever is suited their frequency and what they're here to do. And then yeah, you choose your timing based on like where Earth's frequency is going to be. So like all the beings being born now are being born in a completely different Earth than what Earth was in the 1950s or the 1940s. So
Mhm.
they're going to be able to do things differently and be received differently.
Yeah, oh, I love that. Yeah, you can definitely tell the new souls are new souls. You know, like they're just, well, the new ones being born, they're just on a completely different frequency. Obviously, the frequency we're in right now is different than what we were born into. But yeah, these new souls, I feel like they move faster as well. Like they're vibrating faster. So they're,
Yeah.
they're go, go, go. But I don't know if we've asked, well, we must have asked, did I volunteer or get asked to come here? That is such a good one.
Yeah, I've got it written down. Let me go back.
You see,
I think you were invited to be here. You hadn't had any lifetimes on Earth before being here. You didn't even know Earth existed.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah, you didn't really know Earth was existed. You're in other places doing completely other things. And see, I was reading back to when I just got over it. Yeah, it says, yeah, you barely knew Earth existed, and you're invited to come. And so, to prepare for this incarnation, you didn't have any prior lifetimes, but what they call is you can have imprints where you can like study Earth and receive all the downloads of other lives they've lived that are similar to what you're here to achieve or clear. And yeah, so you were asked to come.
ugh, I love that. I
Yeah.
keep saying I volunteered, but yeah, I got asked. That's pretty cool.
I mean, you still have free will. You still have free
Yeah.
will. So you get
Well, so I
asked
did
again.
volunteer. I did volunteer. I got asked and then I volunteered. But I really resonate with the Dolores Cannon's 3 waves of volunteers. I
Mhm.
remember listening to I don't know if I was listening to one of the books or listening to her speaking, and I just got the chills, and I actually started crying because I was like, oh, this just makes total sense. This just it feels right. Um, and a lot of people talk about the 2012, you know, like the year 2012. You know, some say it was the end of the Mayan calendar, but then some say they got it wrong and it was actually the beginning, like a beginning of you know, like you said, the quarantine, we were opened up again. It was like a fresh new beginning again. The calendar kind of started at 0 again, but I don't know. There's so many different theories. But do you feel like something differently in 2012? Something really did shift? You know, is that when you think the quarantine was lifted, or
I think we're still quarantined.
I was still quarantined?
We're still quarantined. But
I can imagine the rest of the
yeah,
universe is like, "Oh, no, we'll just keep them in a little,
yeah. When we
keep
evolve
them."
beyond war, I think that will
Yeah.
be when we've evolved beyond war and we've been able to work through that collectively and individually, and personally and within ourselves. When we evolve through that, then
Mm.
when we're that, then I think where
Yeah.
that's the mark I've always been shown. Yeah,
Right.
like
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. When we evolve beyond that, um, then then things will shift completely. Having said that, things are opening up because everyone's already starting to their intuitions are opening up. They're connecting with their guides differently. More of their soul wisdom's coming through. People having spiritual awakenings. So more, it is all of that shifting. But I think the deeper physical connection and all of that will come when we've moved beyond war.
Yeah. I've also heard, someone say that beings don't always, I mean, there's obviously a lot of beings here already, but some don't land because of, the different kind of, it's not like a virus, but the things that they've got on their body could contaminate us and we could contaminate them. And that's what, when you said quarantine, that made me think of, are there space viruses? So, we, you hear quite often, though, that a lot of our viruses aren't even real; they're just made up, and we just like it's all like in our mind as well. So, that was kind of interesting to me. That yeah, this guy he. What's his name? Tim? Is it Tim Tactics? Have you heard it? Is it Tim Tactics or Tim Tactical or something? He used to work in the kind of the not the military, but right in the
Yep.
the hidden programs. And he said some beings, yeah, they don't want to contaminate us, and vice versa. So I hadn't really thought about space bugs.
Yeah, I think it is like I know a lot of them have technology where um they could come and it wouldn't be an issue.
Mm,
Um
yeah,
yeah, I think yeah, a lot of them have evolved beyond like most of them have all evolved beyond illness. So
yeah, that's what I thought.
they'll be
Mm,
fine from us and they're so highly evolved that um any of our heavy vibes here it has no impact on them. They've evolved beyond that. They're impervious to it all. But and they could come here. I think it'll be fine. But
yeah,
yeah, their technology is just so far advanced. But um, yeah, I'm curious about that. Though.
yeah, yeah. I've seen quite a few people lately talking more and more about how they have been visited by beings or abducted by beings, and they have this feeling like their brain was kind of being shaken, and they were just their whole body was being shaken, and they were um, just like couldn't move. And I've had that feeling too before, where I've had beings visit, and you just like you're stuck and you can't move. But they my guides were telling me the other day, it's almost like G-force, like science, like that's probably a really old-fashioned way of describing it, like G-force, where almost like you're on a spaceship and you're moving so fast that you're like you can hardly move your body and you feel like you're being shaken. That's what these beings feel like when they visit. They're at a high frequency, so they're kind of shifting you into a higher frequency, and your atoms or your molecules, your particles, your body's having to move faster, so it's oscillating and vibrating faster, and then you're almost feeling like, yeah, you're on a roller coaster ride, a space rocket, and you're being shaken, and they were just, yeah, explaining it as G-force, but that's probably just for my basic brain to understand it.
Mhm.
Have you noticed anything when people are talking about, if they've been visited or anything? Is there any weird stories that you've
Mm.
I don't know if they're weird anymore, normal stories?
Yeah, let me tune in with the records for that one. Yeah, what I was being shown is yeah, um their being is like being their human body is being raised and everything has been sped up and expanded and some of it is to do with like getting new downloads and new information like um further evolution healing clearing um and the experience of it is really unique. So it's like kind of like the first time you've felt it. So your nervous system and your nerves in particular are kind of like, how what is this information and what the hell do I do with this? Because it's a really new sensation. Um it's like having something sour for the first time. I don't know if you see the videos where people like give their dog like a lemon and the dog's just like, "Whoa, what was that?" It's like this whole new information kind of like experience and there's nowhere for that info. It's like a new experience. So your body is like, "What do I do with this?" So, or it's the first time you've ever fallen in love. That's like that new experience where you're like, wow, this is new, right? This is a brand new experience through your body and through your nervous system, and it creates a new memory, and your body then has to be like, where does this land? And okay, this doesn't exist in my current understanding of the world, so things have expanded. So yeah, it's part of like the saying is part of like an expansion, helping people grow, people evolving, and being able to the process the mechanism under is to help people hold more frequency, hold more light, hold more of their soul frequency, and hold higher dimensions in their being. So it's like a expansion exercise.
Oh, I love that. I love it
Mm.
explained in that way. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, it's nice for people to hear that as well, because
Mhm.
I think, so many people have been so scared and traumatized from all of these things. We've been told that we're crazy or that's not true, or, people have had to go to psych wards because they're having all of these experiences. And now finally it's all coming out that this is this is happening and this is normal. Do you think like, is it just the star seeds that are experiencing this, just the souls that have had many lives on other planets, um, or do you think a lot of people have just forgotten that they have had an experience, or they don't want to remember? I don't know. It's like, why are certain people having these abduction experiences or having experiences with beings coming in, and not everybody, not everyone else?
Mhm. Yeah, see, it all they say the guides are saying it all depends on your soul connections, like who you're connected with. So, Dolores Cannon actually has some really good books on this where she goes into like the deeper aspects of it. I can't remember like the Custodians is a good one.
Oh, yeah.
And if anyone who's like experienced this and they want to go like in a deep dive, Dolores Cannon's got some great books on it where she's taken people through hypnosis. So they go through the man, I was absolutely freaking terrified. This was horrifying. And then goes through the hypnosis and it drops into it. Like and they talk to the soul and like what was actually happening and they're able to uncover it all. So I know things have evolved now where it's not so scary. Um, and so it all depends on who you're connected with. So and your life purpose and why you're here and yeah, your soul family. So um with that it will show up differently. So it can be scary to the human aspect of you being like this is really crazy what's happening, but then on a soul level it's like, oh, these are my friends and these are my family. So some people and everyone has different conscious remembrance of it. So some people are like, oh yeah, I remember it. And they're really like, I could just felt this soul connection and I was like seeing old family and I was just so happy to see them and they could feel their hearts sing and it was just a really wholesome experience. And then other people, it triggers more of like your fight, flight, freeze and your human side of things. So I guess the saying it depends on like what part of your being you live from, if you live more from your heart or if you live more from your fears. And then also the world that you're surrounded in, like in some cultures it'd be like, yeah, of course this happens. Like,
Mhm.
yeah. you get visited by your spirits, you know, or your spirit family, of course. Like this is normal, and different cultures around the world have different experiences for it as well. So it's going to be shaped on, uh, yeah, what they're saying, where you live from in your body, if it's your heart or your fear, um, the culture that you were raised in, as well as the experience itself. I don't Most of the people I work with are starseeds, and they're more have like the positive experiences. So I haven't had too many experiences where people have been in the fear. So I can't really speak to that. But yet Dolores has got some really great ones. If you've had the fearful experience, she goes deep into that. So that's a good one to check out. But a lot of it is check-ins. So they just check in on how you're doing. They're helping you stay connected or helping you not feel so alone. A lot of people can have the experiences when they're feeling just so down and out on earth. Like maybe they're going through a tough time and life is hard and things aren't making sense and they're kind of struggling here, and they're like putting out that soul cry of like that heart cry of like, this is really hard. I'm struggling. Like, what's the point of all of this? And they're at that point of forgetting of who they are. And then sometimes their soul family will come and visit and be like, "We're here. It's okay." Um, Other times, it can be really fun and exciting when you're like going through growth and you're remembering who you are and you're bringing through really cool like a lot of people's healing abilities are from past lives. So if they're really good at healing and hands-on healing and all these different things, all of that comes from a lot of that can come from other star systems. So um, when you're going through leaps and bounds of growth in that area, then you can have your soul family come and visit. And yeah, it's super unique, I guess, is the nutshell of all of that. Like getting that into a nutshell it's super unique.
Yeah, I love that, and I really enjoyed how you explained, when I was saying that shaky feeling where you feel like you're on a spaceship or a roller coaster ride. It can be, upgrades and downloads and things like that. I think if people start to understand that it's not all bad, like it's quite often it's for those kind of things, upgrading you, helping you, supporting you, loving you, just being there, just reminding you that you're okay. Yeah, I think that's really special. I think we shouldn't be scared anymore. And I love how you said, you can live from the heart or you can live in the fear. And I think it's time to get out of that fear-based narrative because we just we keep feeding it and we keep creating it. So I think it's time to definitely step out of it. So I quite often I see orbs everywhere. Just little, I don't know, just lights, like just right here, right now. I don't have to, I don't close my eyes or anything. So a lot of those would they be kind of the galactic families visiting as well as past loved ones? There's obviously, I mean, there's so many different friends and family members that we have within this universe, and I'm sure other universes as well. But yeah, do you see all day long? Do you see the orbs and things, or do you have to switch them off? What do you see? I want to know.
Yeah, I normally turn it off when I'm going about day-to-day life. Yeah. Otherwise I think it's kind of overwhelming. Not necessarily. What's the right way of describing it? I do turn it off, especially in public, because I can receive so much about any person, right? Like when I work with someone, I can see their soul, their ancestors, all their past lives, and all of their galactic family. So, when I'm when I'm in a busy area, I turn all that off. Just so I can continue like going to the supermarket and living day to day life. And then, it's more like I turn it on at will. So when I'm wanting to connect in and when I'm wanting to have those experiences and I like turn it back on. Um, and then when it comes, so that's more the visuals. Having said that, I can still see a lot more than like when I was what I could before. Like I still see a lot. Like when I see people, I still see all their energy and things like that. I just like dim it down. Like it's like turning down the dial. Um, and then when I'm in session, everything's open. Uh,
Yeah, so
yeah,
what's
and
your
then
yeah, sorry, I was gonna say, what's your go-to tip to turn it down
that's a really
at the
good question.
supermarket?
Yeah. One thing I practice is like mentally pretending I've got like a fishing rod and I'm just reeling in my awareness. So I'll bring my awareness back into my aura and I'll have it still connected with source and connected with earth, but I don't have it spread out across all time and space. So I pull it in that way. And it's also something that's really helpful is making sure you know what frequencies you're tuned into. So a lot of people, when they go through spiritual awakenings, you kind of get busted wide open, and then you're open to everything and you're connected to everything. I personally don't really bother connecting into anything below the fifth dimension. So anything that's still any energies, frequencies, or spirits that are in a heavier density, I don't bother connecting with them because they're usually not telling the truth, or like, that's when you hear about people having feeling bombarded and having a lot of issues, or things are negative, or there's a lot of fear there is if you're tuned into the heavier densities. So I tune into source and then I'll tune into the higher frequencies. One way you can scan for that is you can feel the frequency of their soul, and if it's anything less than the most loving thing you've ever felt, then don't bother. They can still have personality and they can still be sassy, but if they haven't got that absolute pure of heart, pure being, then I don't engage. The lower frequencies can be really captivating and cheeky, but if they're trying to convince you of anything, if they come through heavy at all, if they're coming through with fear, or you have to do this unless this, and there's like drama and it sounds like it's like a Hollywood movie, then it's just a heavier density. It's too dramatic and it's not for your highest and best. So with time, I've just practiced being like tuning my frequency so I sit into a different dimension so those frequencies don't come near me.
That's really helpful. Yeah, really helpful because you always start off at source as well. So you start off at
Mm.
source and then you kind of come down but still stay in those higher frequencies. Yeah, you can tell the difference. I can tell, like if a psychic medium, if they are tuning into the kind of, say a loved one has passed and you can see that they're tuning into the loved one that is still connected to earth. So they still have a bit of the earth drama, or trying to convince you to do something, or a little bit more negative. You can tell that that is not that the soul's higher self. I always like to try to go to the higher self to get it's like a expanded awareness. You get to see, on top of the mountain looking down, you get to see everything rather than just tuning into maybe the old issues that they had when they were on earth. Yeah, you could definitely tell the difference. I think that's always beneficial if you're trying to, if you want a psychic or a medium or somebody, you want to make sure that they are tuning into the highest point of consciousness first, and then, kind of leveling up. But you can tell as well, like the little cheeky kind of entities or beings and things, because yeah, they want you to do things the way they want. It's the same with a lot of, I'm finding, gurus and things like that as well. It's like, do it my way, just do it my way. And that's not how the kind of higher realms expanded consciousness works. it's not one size fits all, even though we are one energy. But it's just pure unconditional love. It's like, basically, yeah, I mean, you might make a mistake, but that's okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of grace and forgiveness and compassion in the higher realms. And you move away from right and wrong. So the anything that's right, wrong, good and bad, that that falls away, and it's more the um it's more like it grows more internal of like, am I proud of myself with this, or is this in alignment with my values? And there's usually if it's one of the higher beings, there's a lot of compassion and grace for the imperfect human experience, because you know we can still feel all the feels, and we still live in a denser reality. So there's still you know we're, s- there's still so many experiences we can have that are heavier experiences. So, or sometimes we're in a situation that you have to respond to in a way that you don't want to. Like if you're in an experience that's aggressive, and you're like, this isn't who I am, but this is a really expressive, like really aggressive situation. I'm going to have to respond really aggressively to this. Sometimes that, the quieter, more gentle, or the the ways you'd normally go about it aren't working, and you have to come in hard and fast with some boundaries. There's compassion for that. It's not a situation you want to be in, but sometimes it does happen. You don't want to keep perpetuating it and attracting it into your life and living in that realm, but we still live in this place where there's still a lot of options of heavier experiences. So
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I wanted to just go back to the when you were talking about the imprints. That was always fascinating when you were talking about imprints, almost like before you come into this reality, you go into like a simulation, or you get trained on certain aspects. So then you think that you've actually had that experience. And is that why, like a lot of people think they've been Cleopatra, or they've been a certain person in the past? I mean, or are they tuning into the holographic reality? I'm not sure. I mean, would we all get an imprint that we were Cleopatra? I don't know. It's interesting, isn't it?
yeah, it is really, really fascinating. What I've been shown and what I've seen is it's a few different ways people go about it. Sometimes they will, because time isn't linear. So if you're preparing for your life now, you can jump forward and you can jump back in the timelines. So sometimes people will, okay, I want to be born, like maybe like, let's say it's like 19. If we, let's put some Earth timelines on stuff for the point of this exercise. So let's say it's like 1950s and you're getting ready to incarnate in the 1960s. And you're like, okay, well, I've never heard of Earth before, but they've asked me to be here. Okay, so there's planet. Okay, cool. What's going on? Who, like humans? All right. What is like, you just drop it in. Like that's the first time you've ever experienced it. And you're like, well, yeah, I've got a ton of experience working in the healing arts. I've come from the Pleiades. I've spent, 5,000 years doing healing arts there. I've trained over in Sirius over there. I'm like, the frequencies I embody are oneness, and I'm a very kind and loving being. And, Earth is, what's required and what's wanting to come through is more beings that can be amazing hands-on healers. Cool. All right. But you've never been in a human body before. So you can sit there. There's a few different ways of going about it. Sometimes they'll like just get a bunch of downloads, sort of like it's sort of almost in the Akashic realm, where like they're the library of all the lives of healers before have come. So sometimes you're like, okay, I'm going to get incarnate in this country. Let's say you want to incarnate, I don't know, let's say New Zealand. You're in New Zealand. Okay, cool. And incarnate in New Zealand. Cool. Well, what's the culture like there? Okay, what is the 1960s like in New Zealand? Okay, this is the culture. These are the people. Okay, this is what's like happening. This is all the mixture. Cool. This is the type of family. All right, they want to. Okay, I'm going to become a chiropractor or become a Reiki master. Cool. All right. So how do I human in this? So sometimes I'll just like get the absolute downloads of healers that have come beforehand. So it's like literally kind of in the Akashic realm, there'll be entire lifetimes that they've just downloaded. And so then you come in with having known and the background and the history and like something to go with. So when you land, it's not too jarring. Other times, beings will go back like 5,000 years, and they'll kind of be like energy beings. And they'll almost not really incarnate, but they'll kind of just be there like a fly in the wall, witnessing how life was back then. And they'll pick up the frequencies, the energies of what's happening there. So maybe they'll be in ancient Greece at a temple, and there'll be temple practices happening, and they're sitting there witnessing it and experiencing the energy of it. Other times, and that happens all over the world, depending on where you're being born and what frequencies you want to bring. And then all of that gets downloaded into your being. So there's a few different ways of learning if you haven't had a lifetime before. And then that sits in your soul essence. And then you're born.
So
And
much
then,
fun.
yeah, it's super cool. That's
It's
like
like
some of the different ways
Neo
I've
in the
seen it.
Matrix. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
So
Neo
they
gets
can
the downloads of how to do, what is it, karate or something. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're not plugged in. You can
No.
just receive it. Yeah, you don't have to be plugged in for that,
Wi-Fi
but,
Wi-Fi.
yeah. So it's less mechanical than that for sure. So that's some of the different ways I've seen it, come to be. And then of course, sometimes you'll choose a family lineage that also has that as well. So you can look back through the family lineage and maybe there is like a family lineage of healers. Maybe they've been massage therapists and hands-on healers for eons. And maybe it wasn't recent. Maybe it was 10,000 years ago. Maybe it was 2,000 years ago in your family lineage. And you're like, cool, now's time to bring all that back. All the lost wisdom. Earth is now ready. We're in a space now where um, there is a lot more acceptance of various cultures and ways of being. We're moving away from being a monoculture. So there's a different safety now to bring through all the different old healing arts and things like that without any persecution fears or fears of it being manipulated or shifted or things like that. So people are now bringing, like they might be born in as a starseed. They're bringing in their Palladian frequency and then they're bringing in ancient healing arts from a few thousand years ago.
Yeah, I love that. So with the, like you're saying, the Palladian frequencies, like, because we've all got so many different kind of galactic parts to us as well, don't we? We've had, so many people believe that our DNA is filled with kind of different galactic beings. So sometimes, do you think sometimes we switch on more of the Palladian and sometimes it might be more of the Arcturian? Do we just stay 10% this, 10% that? Or do you think it shifts throughout our lifetime depending on what we need, what we want?
Yeah. I've seen it as really fluid.
Mm.
One thing I see a lot is people like, oh, what star seed am I? And they're like, oh, I must be that one star
Mhm.
seed. I haven't. Maybe there are star seeds that have only ever been in one place. I've never seen it yet. I haven't seen it yet in the work I've done. Maybe I might meet someone, but usually all the people I work with have been all over, and they've been here, there, and everywhere, or maybe they've been somewhere for a really long time as well as somewhere else. So they usually got a real mixture of different places I've been. So yeah, I see it evolves and it depends on a few different influences. It depends on usually like what you're here to do at that time. So we all go through different phases of life. We go through different careers. We are involved with different communities, and then that means different parts of us are needing to come forward. So sometimes we'll draw more on one than another, and then yeah, I've also seen people like the humans themselves. Debbie Solaris talks about it on her website that the human being itself is a galactic. Like so, um, what I see when I work with people is their DNA is a mixture of different star frequencies as well as Earth frequency. So
Yeah.
depending
We're
where you're
pre
born on Earth.
Yeah, we're pretty special, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
We've
Yeah.
definitely got a lot going on. So,
Yeah.
did you have anything else on my, what you've done for me? Is there anything else that kind of stands out? I don't know if anybody would be interested.
Yeah, I think the lifetimes you had as a crystal were really.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
Yeah.
Holding my
Yeah. You
holding
got
my
your
cr
crystals with you?
I
Yeah.
yeah, I hold them in my hands when I do my podcast. Every time
Love that.
I just squeeze them the whole time. Yeah.
I love
It
that.
I love tuning into crystal consciousness. Yeah, it's really helpful. So, yeah, have you got the notes on that one? On
Yeah, I do,
the
yeah.
Oh, yeah, could you read a
Yeah,
little bit?
yeah. That was really cool. Um, you started off being more of like a light being, and you were in the Andromeda Galaxy being a light being. You were helping all the different souls as they incarnated to be planets. You were like being like a kindergarten teacher, just helping them as as a galaxy was being created. And then the first incarnation you had was a crystal being, which I'd never seen before. So that was really cool. Because like when sometimes when I'm scanning, I'll be like scanning for your soul frequency and your energy, and I scan across all dimensions and space to like, it's like if you're tuning on a radio, if you're really old school radios, you tune and you pick up the frequencies, but it's more visual for me. And I scan, and then I remember finding you, and I was like, oh, hang on. And then the guides will then bring it in, and it plays like a movie, and you're this crystalline being, like it was a crystal, and your crystal consciousness, and it was like a lot of societies store all the information in crystals. Kind of, we got hard drives where we do use like precious metals and stuff like that. The next evolution I've seen for Earth and everywhere else is crystals. And so you were this crystal being, and like all the information, like they were giving you, like taking care and in charge of this information, and you had crystalline brothers and sisters in different parts of the galaxy, and the information was sharing back and forth, so that the information, like that's something that's happens a lot in the Milky Way galaxy, is um there's huge information sharing. So if they have a breakthrough somewhere, they'll share that back and forth. And different star races have they kind of have slightly different genetic makeups. They evolve to live in different places, and they live in different dimensions, so they all have their different interests and way of seeing things. So they all have really cool awarenesses and shifts and evolutions and breakthroughs that they then share with each other. And one way of doing that is through the crystals. Yeah. So so you're more of a kindergarten teacher for the little baby crystals as well. Sort of as they're forming in new planets, you're like teaching them on how to be how to be little beings. So it's like how we've got guardian angels, you're like their guardian angel. And like you're teaching them how to like hold energy and communicate with each other. So yeah, and that's part of your life work here is with crystals as well, is to
Yeah.
bring through the different frequency with it. And I think one thing I get shown a lot is like we've lived in the Western world. We've been raised of if you can see it and if you can touch it and if you can think about it, then that's like those are the things you go through to see if something's real. And that's what people receive through. Like you can think about it, it's logical, rational, reasonable, touch it and you can see it. Then that is what shapes the world. But that's only a few of your senses and abilities. So people go through these huge spiritual awakenings and everything else comes online. And all of a sudden you can feel animals differently. You can feel you start walking through a forest and the trees are you can feel they're not just a piece of wood. They're like, holy shit, you can feel all their energies and you can hear them all talking to each other, and you can feel how the energy is moving through the forest. And, then all of a sudden all these all your other abilities are coming online. And I think in the world according to me, I think that is still being very human. Like other cultures do practice and live like that, and when you look back, ancient cultures did that as well. So I've seen that in the records, like ancient cultures were super connected with Earth. And so we're at a point now where we have the space and time, and we're in the space and time to have all of those abilities come back on. So it can be a little bit disorienting because it's maybe not how the world around you experiences the world. It's not how the people around you experience the world. But it's yeah, I see it's where we're all going. But yeah, so part of you for you is the sharing of the like crystals and their souls and their energy. And you were an Arcturian for a while, and you were part of the mining of crystals, but it's not mining like we think of here. There, they would like talk to the crystals and say, like, "Did you want to come out? You've been there for a while. Do you want to come out? Okay, you want to come out. What do you want to do? Who do you want to be? How do you want to be like a part of our community?" And then they're like, they're like, yeah, they chat to them like, this is like technology we're making, or we want to create this temple, or we want to communicate this way, or want to do healing this way. And the crystal's like, yeah, I want to be part of that. That sounds really cool. So they can become more like teammates. And then, um, just as we're here on Earth now seeing animals differently, we're now understanding. Like it's just fun reading the scientific papers when they're like, oh, like here's a dog that can do 500 commands and has the intelligence of a 5-year-old. Like, oh, we taught a gorilla how to do sign language. Wow, they're actually really intelligent. And and you go back 70 years, and how they saw animals was completely different. So we're starting to become a bit more intelligent that way. We're starting to see more and receive more that way. And there's just so much more to that, which I see is like with crystals. I know some people are like, oh, whatever, it's just a rock, it's blah, blah, blah. But then people, when more of your abilities and stuff come online, you walk into a crystal shop and they're all chatting away at you, and they're all got like little personalities, and you can all see how they're all like sitting next to each other, and you also see like which ones like being next to each other. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's all of a sudden all your abilities come online, and then that becomes available. But yeah, for you, I could see a lot of what you do is to like share that about crystals and more, and your own experience of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah, you just reminded me of when I remember when I first picked up a crystal, it was pulsating and vibrating in my hand. Yeah, and yeah, it just shows you they are alive for sure. But no, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. That's awesome. Yeah, I did enjoy being a crystal.
Yeah, it's really peaceful. Yeah. Yeah. I
But
think that's one.
it's
Sorry.
no, you go, you go.
I think that's one thing that's a little tough for starseeds. It's like you have memories of really peaceful existences. Depending on where you're from, there's definitely been some star races that have had a lot of war, and they've gone through extreme separation and war and density and like tragedy. So Earth isn't as jarring for them, but a lot of star seeds come from places where it's just really peaceful and tranquil and wonderful and super evolved. And then they come here and it's like, oh, right, okay. Some of them have never experienced anything like this, and for some, it's been a really long time, like millions of years, Earth years. So it's like, oh, okay, all right. Whew. And I think one thing that's really I always want to mention too is the human body is unique as well. So it feels really viscerally. Like emotions are really full on, like they overtake your entire body. They move and shift you in all these ways, and they're all consuming. And for so that's really beautiful when you're watching a sunset, or you're in love, or you're doing things that are great, but it's also really tough in the tougher aspects of life. But that's something that's really unique for Earth humans, like our nervous system and how it's wired is really unique. Like other star beings, it flows differently, things move differently. You don't get as rocked. I think like emotions can be really disorienting sometimes, right? You can be so intense and it can kind of rock your world and throw you around a little bit. And that is can be really new for starseeds. Like they haven't
Yes.
experienced that before. So just be gentle with yourself. So I guess to sum up, just be really gentle with yourself. If you're like, oh yeah, oh man, like I am feeling more sensitive and I can feel energies differently. And some people's energy is really intense and I can feel all this, I can sense so much about them. And, you can sense, does this person have good or bad intent? And then you can sense all of the different, because humans are really energetically cluttered. There's just so much going on. There's like 10 different voices sometimes going on in people's heads. So receiving that's a lot. So and Earth is like maybe the densest place you've ever been and the most confusing place you've ever been because it is so dense. So just be really gentle with yourself. I guess was something I'd like to say.
Yeah, that's important to know. And I often find my guides will tell me that I wouldn't be able to have this like an experience, say if I'm at the sauna or if I'm swimming in the ocean, it's cold, or I wouldn't be able to have this experience if I was a crystal. Like I wouldn't be able to feel the same things. I wouldn't be able to do the same things. So we get to experience incredible opportunities being human and having those feelings and those sensory experiences. So we might as well enjoy it now, even though sometimes we're like, oh, I just don't want to feel this anymore, or that just doesn't feel good. But it's going to be, yeah, well, it is worth it. I always say it's going to be worth it. I should say it is worth it. I just always try to go forward to the part where we leave here and then we're like, woo, we're on that high, like jumping off the roller coaster ride, and we're like, yeah, that was cool. It's that adrenaline buzz, but we might as well enjoy it now. I feel like for a while I just wanted to get it over and done with. I was just kind of going through the motions of, okay, I'm just kind of in survival. I'm just getting out of bed. I've done a great job just even getting out of bed. But now I'm kind of like, right, what is my goal, or what really makes me happy, or what do I really want to achieve this year? What really excites me and what brings me joy? And I'm really kind of trying to think about not the bigger picture now of, like I'm here for a reason. I might as well really just put myself out there and make the most of it now. So instead of just kind of hiding in the corner, just like, hopefully I just get through this lifetime. But no, we don't want to just get through this lifetime, because then we might choose to come back again because we half-assed it. So, you know,
Yeah.
like I didn't do a really good job in that lifetime. I better just try that one again. It's like, oh no, no, just just enjoy it now. Make the most of it now. But oh, I love that. I love having you in my life, Jess. I appreciate you so much. So you do your one-on-one soul sessions. You have a few offerings, and you also sometimes you'll do like a group session, which I love your group sessions as well. And then you're tweaking your business as well. I love that you're kind of expanding. So things to look out for. So I'll share your website and your other details. But is there anything, because we've still got the records, the Akashic Records, Earth Records open, is there anything that they wanted to bring through for everybody, or?
Yeah. Let's see. Okay. So yeah, peace is an inside job.
Mhm.
So it starts with our relationship with ourselves and then our loved ones, and it radiates out that way. So if you're feeling lost and frustrated with Earth right now, you can focus on peace as an inside job and creating more peace with yourself and who you are, and then radiate that outwards. Um, yeah, there being so much happening on Earth, like the highs and the lows and the full extremes. They're saying with that, like it can be really disorienting, especially if your abilities are coming online and you're receiving it all. And we're also at a time and space where we do receive all the information as well. So, they're saying this is where you, each of us get to choose the communities that we're in, the communities that we contribute to, the communities that we build and lift up, and the people that we lift up. We get to choose the contribution that we each be. And we're shown often that the contribution, if you look at all the superhero movies, right, that's like, oh, the only way you'll make a difference is if it's some really huge extreme superhero person with war and conflict involved and you have to fight something. They're saying no, most of 10% of the impact you have is the physical action you make, and then the rest of the 90% is the energetic experience. So it's like they're saying it's like the age-old saying of like, you smile at a stranger, you just think you're just smiling at someone. We have this reductionist mindset. They're saying it's like the reductionist mindset of, well, I just smiled at someone. What point does that have? And then you read all these stories of someone being like, wow, like I was thinking of like making some pretty pretty intense decisions about myself, and someone smiled and it turned my life around. So you just never know the impact. They're saying we do get to know when we pass and we look back at our life. We do get to see the impact that we have. So they're saying with your intuition, your gut instinct, when you're called to do those seemingly smaller gestures of smiling, being kind and polite, being creating unity, creating that oneness and creating that love, it actually has huge ripple effects. I know that's people probably have heard all that. Like, yeah, they're just that kind of reminder of like, yep, when you look out into the world, it's sort of like what you get to contribute and what you get to be. And they're saying, yeah, humans are having a huge range of experiences. There's still people who are in the heavier stuff. They all have guides. What you can do is you can send them love. You can send those regions of earth love from source. Don't use your own energy. Ask the universe to send love, to send solutions as highest and best. And if there is conflict that you're seeing or heaviness that you're seeing, and it's like it's hurting to witness and see, it's really good to sort of figure out what that is, because you can ask yourself, am I being asked, right? Is this coming up because I need to be of service to this situation? Or is it coming up because there's something unresolved within my being? And this is why it's showing up and it's having an impact. And if you're feeling called to action and you're feeling called to like contribute to being part of a solution to something, then that means it's more of an external pull to like be there, contribute, help. If you're not feeling that pull and it's feeling the energy has more of a freeze effect, if the energy has a more of a compressing energy and you're feeling smaller, then it's more of an internal thing that's come up. Now, it might be your own thing that's happened, or it can be your ancestors, or it can be your healing for your family. And that can be like so usually kind of goes into those two categories of you're being called to show up and participate and contribute, or something's showing up within you that needs to be shifted and cleared. And that's why it's like in your face a lot. And with the heavier stuff of life, if something is repeating in your life and it keeps repeating and it keeps repeating, you're like, wow, man, dang it. Like, why is this why is this always, and you look around, it's not happening to everyone else. It just seems to be happening to you. And you're like, or it happens for the third time, you keep attracting the same type of romantic partner. That's not great. And you're like, dang, like I'm the common denominator here. Then it's usually if you could solve it logically, then you will. If you can't solve it with logic, then it's sitting deeper than your logic. It's sitting more in your subconscious mind. And then it's usually something that you're learning through and you're growing through. So we're here to grow and expand, and our soul isn't picky how we do that as long as we get the job done. So there's a million infinite ways of learning, and it can be a great time or it can be a hard time and everything in between. So usually there's a lot of lessons that we're learning. And then another thing that I wanted to say before we wrap up here is, um, people around us can be having a really tough time. Sometimes we have people in our lives and they look like they're about to hit rock bottom, or you think they've hit rock bottom and then they keep going and you're like, wow, that is so far beyond what I thought was rock bottom. That is a really tough place to be for someone you love. In that space, you can sit and ask, like, is this something I need to help and assist with? And you sometimes hear a big yes or a big no. And I used to make those situations really wrong. And I used to be like, oh man, those people are having a really tough time. They're like, dang, that guy, it's really bad. And I need to like help and be of service. And then I got chewed out by my guides. Like, well, who do you think you are? Like, why do you think that's a bad thing? I was like, well, this is this and that. Like, it's awful. Like, look at the tough time they're having. And then then they're like, watch this video. And they showed me, one of the motivational speakers who's like, this was like my life was off the rails and I hit rock bottom and then kept going deeper and deeper. And then this point was my lowest point. And then I had to make a decision. And then I turned my life around and I've learned that I'm this and I'm that, and I had to forgive this. And all of a sudden, like this rock bottom trajectory, they then turned into this motivational speaker that is like changing the lives of so many people. They've been through the trenches. They're able to help people who are going through the trenches because they've been there. They know what it's like. They're amazing at being of service in that space. They're really able to help people who want to be helped. And the guides are like, so who are you to make that wrong? I was like, dang, that's one hell of a life choice to make. But the people are usually like, oh, I'd never change it for the world. Look how strong I am. Look what I came out the other end. And they're in this place of, they've come through the other end enough and healed enough that they're in a philosophical place about it, and a place of it's empowering, and they're helping, and they got this deep purpose with it. And from that, I was just like, okay, so I can't make things right or wrong around that. But if you do say, do I need to be of service here? And you get like, yes, go do this. This is how you be of service. And that person wants to be like, receive support, then be support. Otherwise, sometimes they're like, no, back off, like mind your own business. Yeah, oh, okay. It's hard to do though, as a human, because you're like, especially if you're a loving being, you're just like, I just want to help. I
Yeah.
really want to help. And your guy's like, no, stay out of it. Okay.
Yeah.
This is my
Yeah.
business.
I get that. Quite often lately, I've heard people say it's the ego as well. The ego wants to take over and save everybody, but
Yeah.
but we do being one energy. You're obviously tuning into how other people are feeling, so you don't want everyone to feel crappy. But yeah, so true. People do learn from those lower dense energies for sure, and yeah. You can still rise no matter what's been going on in your life. So, yeah, definitely. And we don't want to drain ourselves trying to kind of save everybody. It's too
Yeah.
much. Too much.
Yeah. Feel into your heart if it's feeling like a pull towards, or if it feels fulfilling, if it feels uplifting and it feels sustainable. But if you're draining pouring from an empty cup, then
Yeah.
you need to, then there's some deeper healing work to do to shift some stuff in there.
Yeah. I keep hearing people lately saying, just get a whole new cup. Cup half full, cup half empty. No, just get a whole new full cup.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely. Do we need to close the records before we go? Because I don't want the records to be open and everyone that's
Sitting in the
listening.
expanse, trying to sleep, receiving messages. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll close. Anyways, well, thanks everyone for listening, and we'll close out the records. I'd like to thank the masters, teachers, and loved ones for their love and compassion. I'd like to thank the lords of the Akashic Records for their point of view. And I'd like to thank the Holy Spirit of light for all knowledge and healing. The record's now closed. Amen. The record's now closed. Amen. Records are closed. Amen. Mm.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was amazing. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate you and all you do for me,
Yeah.
helping me stay sane. I don't know,
Well,
when
it's
you
providing the deeper context, right? When things come up, you're like, what is going on?
yeah,
Oh, okay. That's what's going on.
well,
Okay. Just
yeah.
let's get the bird's eye view of what's happening
Yeah,
and why.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is really hard to see yourself as well, I find. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's, easier to have somebody else with, like you're saying, that bird's eye view that can look in with a different, fresh perspective. So, yeah, it's been
Yeah. And
wonderful.
like,
So,
we don't know what we don't know, right?
yeah, yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah, but
sometimes it takes someone else to shine the light on.
you know a lot. Honestly, you just get into those records so beautifully and just speak to the guides. Like the information is so it's filled with clarity and wisdom, and I love that about you. So thank you so much. Yeah, but if
You?
anyone wants to get in touch, so Jess, oh yeah, I'll put your website and
Yeah.
details below. So thanks, Jess, again.
You're welcome. It's been
Thank
my
you,
pleasure.
and I'll see you real soon.